So if you've been to this group before, you saw me present on OpenClaw in, what was that, March, I think, or something like that? Yeah. So I've kind of shifted since then. Let me unmute myself here so you actually hear.
Try to push this down just a little bit, see if it can be.
There we go. And then you wanted me to share my whole screen. So then I'll share my whole screen. So now that you see that, I shared this dashboard in March because last year I took over the research department in the district. It had, at the time, 10 employees. We've taken that down to 4 since merging it into my department. I have about 100 people on my staff in the district. We serve 83 schools, 46,000 students, about 8,000 employees. And so I would say, I've been on the Microsoft suite forever. I'm on their education board since 2015. It's a great organization. However, OpenAI approached me in November to see if we would stand up and be a part of a national cohort of 8 districts in the United States that would implement and help design OpenAI's educational platform. So we currently have stood up since December an OpenAI enterprise environment. So we've implemented ChatGPT work, if any of you have experienced that. So some of the things that I'll talk about today professionally happen in ChatGPT work. Personally, I'm running Hermes now instead of OpenClaw, and I can identify the reasons why I do that, as well as what you'll see here. So this is the Build-A-Bond dashboard. This was like the first time I was like, there's a way to measure things differently than what we did before, and it all has to do with qualitative data. So we're a large Power BI district, right? We run an Azure environment. I think we have a running scale of about 6.3 terabytes of just pure data in Azure Data Lake that we model. We use Cornerstone to help us model that data and have for the last year, and are basically creating the right swim lanes for AI to analyze that to help us answer some questions. This spring, one of the things that we did out of our staff was getting staff voice. So we did these basically staff session where I took B data. So I'll share this a little bit later. So B.computer. This is amazing. So this basically tethers to my phone and doesn't take a recording, but it's basically a live transcription. And so that allowed me to capture the data that we didn't capture in a form. So many times staff members aren't willing to enter data into a form because even though it's anonymous, they might not trust the source, right? But they're more than willing to say it. And so we captured both voice data and form data and basically came up with some amazing dynamics here of how you could look at data differently. So some of the things that we outlined in our district that we need to change is student behavior, right? And so you'll see us change how we do cell phones, right, in the fall, and how we even look at some of our data in behavior will be very different this year based on the student code of conduct. So I learned a lot out of that process, and through that, if you were to go to showmerob.com, which I don't sell anything, this is my own personal website, this helped me to start thinking about how I might look at data differently. So if you look at showmerob.com and click on research, I've started to add different data sets, and all of these are public data sets that I've grabbed. So one of them is AI governance based on state. Another one is personal devices, whether that's available state by state. I just introduced last weekend esports and micro schools. So if you don't know, I started Creative Minds, which is a K-6 one-room schoolhouse at the Learning Lab. It's a public micro school that we have about 80 kids now, and we have a waiting list of about 220. But that's a micro school, and that was a data point that I was interested in. This Saturday, there will be a new data set entered on computer science as a requirement for K-12 education across all 50 states. But you can use this data and model this data any way that you want. I'll tell you how I do it. If you go to my website and click on blog, you'll see Frank, my Hermes setup. So Frank is my setup that I have at home in my home lab. I run him on a Mac Mini M4 Pro with 48 gigs of RAM. Currently, his embeddings and what's called Firecrawl. So I run a localized Firecrawl instance. That Firecrawl is amazing. If you need browser access for your AI agent, use Firecrawl and put it in locally. Like, you don't need to pay the API for that. It's completely open source. It'll crawl whatever sites that you do. So how I reference my research data is I use Perplexity's API for real-time search, and then I use Firecrawl, and then I use different models to look at both sources and come to a conjecture of what's true. And so that's really worked for these data sets very well. It cost me like maybe $3 a month, right? And so if you end up signing up for my newsletter, that's also open source. It's called Button Down. And so it generates every week. I run the Sunday signal report that does research for me every single day. So if you look at this, I have 48 scheduled tasks. My Notion, I publish all the research that happens every single day. And it looks at the same data every single day. And then on Sunday, it reviews all 7 days worth of data and comes up with a signal report of where the market's going with AI, where K-12 is moving to, computer science is moving to, what Kansas policy and where AI policy is moving across the United States. And so then it models that data from those 7 days into a Sunday signal report that then is right here. You can see the Sunday signal report. This was this last Sunday's. It talks about governance. It talks about AI state policy, and it has it basically publishes all the sources there. And structure, if you guys don't know, if you ran Canvas, you were in a breach. We were in that, as well as most every other post-secondary institution. State-level personal device guidance, Google, or any other type of frontier model. This runs automatically. I don't do any human effort in this whatsoever. It's all based on cron jobs and review. And I might place something personal in there, like I think the week before I put something in for my vacation, but this all runs locally without. So the model is Gemma 4. I run that to actually look at the data across to publish. This costs me $0 other than the electricity to run that Mac 4 Pro Mini. So something to think about. Loops. How many of you have heard of loops? One of the things that I love about loops, and I run this in work. Let me present this slide. So I'm running a large project where we're taking and we're redoing our entire enrollment system for the district. So how many of you have tried to enroll in Wichita Public Schools? It's a task, isn't it? It is. And it's a pain in everybody's backside, right? So we're creating a unified enrollment form in Power Apps, in Power Platform. We're using Copilot chat as a way to help families that don't have English as their first language, or might have a low digital literacy and not know like how to upload their proof of address, right? Some of those things. So that's one way how we're utilizing AI. But what I love about this loop is I don't have to have a project manager. So every Tuesday evening, ChatGPT work goes through my SharePoint of that particular project, my Teams messages, any emails that came across, and it will build an agenda for me for Wednesday morning's meeting. And because I use a company called Crimson, which Microsoft's paying for because they would like to tout this enrollment form. They're out of the UK, so we have it every Wednesday morning. And so it generates the agenda, and then that's from 8 to 9. At 10 a.m., another cron job from ChatGPT work goes back in, grabs a transcription from the meeting that we recorded. I record every single meeting, and it grabs that transcription, and it updates the project document. And it also mentions anybody in the project document. So they automatically get a notification of when they said in the meeting transcription. Because think about this, when you record your meetings now, you want to say the things that you want to be in the project doc, right? So you're like, oh, wait, John, when did you say that was going to be done? Oh, I heard you say, oh, okay. So you said that's next Tuesday. What date is that? Okay. All right. So then you get those things documented. And then at 10 o'clock, this update the project document happens. It's sent out and it's posted automatically to the Teams thread. And then guess what? I don't have to worry about anything else until the next meeting. And it's already sent tasks to the people to, hey, here's your task. Here's when it's due. And so for me, these loops have been amazing. And that loop, this was the first loop that I created, but then that helped me design the research loop that I do every week for the Sunday Signal report. So I was like thinking of the human condition of when are we having the meeting? How can I capture the information from that meeting? What actionable insights might I have for that? And how might I put that in a format that will help me not to have somebody to process that? So I'll show you, this is Frank. This is my Hermes agent. Like I said, he runs at home on ChatGPT. I use the front end, I use Codex for that. I love Codex. Like, ChatGPT work is basically Codex that OpenAI has relabeled as ChatGPT work. What I love about Hermes Agent compared to what I had with OpenClaw is sub-agents work independently in profiles. And the other piece to this is one password tied to Hermes allows you to have all of your API keys and credentials in a store that Hermes never sees. And he just requests them at launch so that those are secret and kept away so that then, obviously I have everything in here right now is on Tailscale. So I've had to tie to my phone in order to get out because Newman University doesn't allow for Tailscale. But that allows me to have a nice secure way of connecting to my Hermes agent. The other pieces that I would say that are huge for Hermes is you have localized TTS and STT. If you don't know what that means, you'll probably hear ChatGPT voice here pretty soon, which is amazing. But I can ask, what's the weather? Let's see if this works. It's running through my phone, so we'll see how fast this goes.
Is this a local model that you're running?
Yeah. So all the voice is local TTS. I'm running LM Studio with Nomadic and Gemma is supplying the voice for this. Did it say it? Oh, here it's preparing. Yeah. I'm sure my cell signal's not awesome.
Assuming Wichita tomorrow, Wednesday. High 96 degrees Fahrenheit. Low 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Sky partly sunny. Rain 10% chance of a late afternoon thunderstorm.
rising to 20% overnight. Wind, ESE 9 to 13 miles per hour, gusting to 18 miles per hour.
For a local
Translation,
model
hot
that
as
doesn't
heck,
cost me
mostly
anything,
dry,
that's
with a
pretty
small
amazing
chance the
voice,
sky
right?
throws a tantrum after 5.
So
National Weather Service.
I really think localized models on Hermes are amazing. Like, and file management is phenomenal. Gemma does an amazing job of managing files. So like my desktop, every day I do whatever the heck I want and make it all messy. And then at 9 o'clock at night, Frank just goes in and just organizes the files where they need to go into organization. So those small pieces save me time throughout the day, and those loops help me do things that I would need another person to do. From a development standpoint, I have 12 developers on my team. They do the work of 30 people easy now, where I would have outsourced some work that they couldn't have done before. So I'll open for questions. On there, so I had Frank, if you go to the website and you click on that news, or no, the blog and Frank set up, Frank actually set up his own PowerPoint presentation that he wanted to present to you with. He made this in PowerPoint, which is pretty amazing. So you see that it's not images generated. This is actual PowerPoint. He generated this himself. You can download this PowerPoint, look at the PowerPoint. Whatever Frank made is actually pretty great. He explains.
Which model did it use?
Huh?
When it did that, which model did it use for working in PowerPoint?
Probably Codex. I would
Codex?
assume Codex, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Because that's a little bit more advanced than what Gemma would do.
yeah, for sure.
Who
Yep.
makes Gemma?
Google makes
Yeah,
Gemma.
So that's
Yep.
an open source model from Google.
Yep. I love Gemma and also the 26 billion parameter of Quen is pretty amazing for reasoning. So, yeah.
And what's it running on? Is it running on your machine? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
M4 Pro, Mac Mini, 48 gigs of RAM, terabyte hard drive.
What size of Gemma are you running locally?
Depends. Great question. So I have the box that Frank sets on, 9 billion parameter. It's a small. And then I have the new QAT running on another box that's just adjacent from it. There are 2 Mac Minis that sit on top of one another. But that larger model, because I run into memory constraints whenever I load that model with everything else going.
So Rob, is Hermes doing all the routing?
Yes, yeah. And so I have those broken down, the profiles broken down in the PowerPoint and what roles that they do. What I love about Hermes routing is you're very explicit about what it does. So I use Grok 4.5 as scribe because it has an attitude to it that I really like. And so it'll feed to me like an attitude, like if I'm going to post on social or something, it gives me just a little bit of attitude that I like. For a librarian, Gemma is amazing. Like it does the organization of the files and everything really well, especially the small 9 billion parameter one, because organization of files or even the consumption of files, that does not require a large model. Nor does it require a large context, because you end up context compacting in the middle and it just starts off where it left off. So where reasoning requires you to have a larger context, if I'm not reasoning and I'm just processing text, use a smaller model and a smaller context. It really doesn't matter.
Can you define processing text?
In my research, I had already grabbed the text from Firecrawl and I just need to process it into a report. I don't need reasoning, and I don't need thinking enabled. And so just processing that text, the context window isn't that high of a requirement, and neither is the model size. So tokens have values. Some tokens have higher values than others.
But for instance, your signal report, that does require reasoning, yes?
Correct. Yeah, because I'm processing layers of information into a single report. But if I just wanted, like in the Firecrawl instance where it's gone and it's scraped, right? Research, and I'm bringing it in to process, just to process that text. Local model, no reasoning needed.
Yeah, right.
You said that you had Hermes, Frank, go through and clean up your desktop at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Are you actually running on the same machine that Hermes is living on, or do you have it remotely?
No,
plugged in?
my iCloud environment syncs with my laptop, right? So he just has my iCloud environment for the desktop, which is my Scratch interface, right? So Frank doesn't have access to OneDrive or any of my work files. That's my ChatGPT work. That's how I separate it. The research and things that I do that are outside of the district that I just supply, Frank does all that research for me and does it through the Firecrawl and Perplexity API connection.
You said it notified the people in the meeting of their to-dos or their tasks.
Yeah,
How
it's an app mention inside. So in ChatGPT work, I have an app mention the user. I use their people card, and I have an app mention the user so that in the project they get notified that this task has been assigned to you.
That's in Teams?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because your ChatGPT is integrated with Teams, it's got that connector.
Yes.
Right?
MCP.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
when you're within your Azure environment, your codecs, because you worked out ChatGPT's connections
Yes.
to that.
Yep. Yep.
And so as a district, you've
Yep.
been able to do that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But you don't have Hermes running in that environment.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't have that kind of trust level yet. I'm building a lot more trust. Like I would tell you, my personal calendar, Frank runs my entire personal calendar. My wife sent me a screenshot of our itinerary. We just got back from vacation to Ireland, Switzerland, and Italy. So she had this spreadsheet, and I was like, just forward it to me. So Frank has his own Gmail address, and he only answers to me. I have 3 email addresses that he'll answer to. So I just forwarded it to him, said, put all this on my calendar that's in this Excel spreadsheet. But then, like, I don't know, 30 seconds, it was all there. So,
Would Claude Cowork do that in theory? Or
yes.
Chrome browser or,
Yep,
something?
yep. Here's where you'll have issues is custom MCP. So like Claude, I worked with Cowork because we get access to that for free through Anthropic. Cowork doesn't hold custom MCPs very well. Neither does ChatGPT work. That's where I think A to A, if you look at A to A, the more solutions that support A to A, which was a standard that Google came out with, agent to agent, that will work much better in that situation than MCP, because the problem with MCP is you're loading a lot of tool context into the window before it starts.
May I ask one more?
Yeah.
I went really hard on OpenClaw. I mean, and I'm just a guy, and I went
Yeah.
hard. I probably
Man.
spent, I don't know, $5,000 in tokens.
Yep.
At least
Yep.
at a minimum. And
Yeah.
I had this existential crisis that if I didn't figure this out, my competitors were going to leave me in the dust. And here's what I found. I found that the technology would mislead me. It would and so I still have my Raspberry Pis, but
Yep.
I just kind of set that stuff down. And so as an entrepreneur or a business owner, I'm really focused on leveraging technology. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I came to the conclusion that I didn't need to be in such a hurry after all. I could maybe sit back and take a little bit of the breath and let this technology catch up, because it wasn't quite as good as I thought it was.
Because you gave OpenClaw an existential crisis.
Yeah.
Well,
That thing's gone.
here's my struggle with OpenClaw. Every time I updated OpenClaw, I broke something.
Yeah. From another country.
Yeah. Right. The one thing I do love about Hermes, my updates are pretty seamless.
It was so frustrating that I'm not sure I would pick Hermes up. And would you say
Yeah.
that I'm missing out?
I mean, sit down with me for 30 minutes and I'll show you.
I'd like that.
Yeah, for sure. I totally do that. And I'm not selling anything whatsoever. Like if you want to see my setup and everything, like I'll show it to you. I don't really
Next
care.
month, like,
So, but you don't need much. Like the Firecrawl setup is on a Proxmox box at my house, and it's like 4 gigs of memory. It's a Linux container. Dude, that thing works its rear off. I'm in Newman University, so I'm not cussing today. But yeah, so it's
Catholics are cool.
so it'll work. Especially in research, it's amazing. Firecrawl is, and the Perplexity API is stupid cheap for the amount of consumption that you have.
For a hands-on workshop
So.
one of these days. Oh,
Yeah, so we could sit down and light up Hermes. The client is amazing. So this client is probably, I work in this all the time. Like I leave this up at home, I leave it up at work. If I ever need anything, this client, because what I love about it, you'll see here, I have my sessions and it saves the sessions. But then you'll see my Telegram, so I have it connected to Telegram. And then I also have Photon, which is completely free. So in Photon, he's called Frank Rob's assistant. In Photon, he gets iMessage and the blue iMessage bubbles. So it's the same, like whenever I was in Switzerland, they had blocked Telegram to where I couldn't use it on the Wi-Fi there. And so I literally just brought up iMessage and then would just text Frank and say, hey, I need you to find me a restaurant for tonight. And if it supports Open Table, go ahead and make us a reservation, right? So those are the easy things that you can do. But access with Hermes is amazing.
Are you doing anything special on your Sunday reports for information drift? Like if it's summarizing 50 articles and giving it a summary, do you monitor to check if the summary is actually in line with the original?
Yes. But also with that, because it's a signal, I have it document the previous signals so that it's not reiterating the same signal. And it also tells me if something looks not right. Like if it's like, all right, this signal wasn't in last week and it seems off, it'll notify me that something's not right and I'll review it before I publish it. So
Do you then like store those interventions to do your own call it reinforcement learning loop?
gosh, I haven't really thought about that, but yeah. This is just a personal, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So on August 1st, all of those data sets will refresh on August 1st. And then I have explicit instructions to find trend analysis across the data sets. So then as I add data sets, every first of the month it's going to refresh and give me, whether it be the last month or the last 6 months, by the time I get to that point of where's AI governance going across states? Where's device strategies going? And that will give a good indication of where the United States is going from an educational standpoint. Yeah.
Last question.
Okay. It's maybe a great, easy, lowball question. When you were talking about data collection from B data,
From B.
devices, B data.
B data.
Yeah.
Yep.
In your space,
Mhm.
FERPA and worries
Right.
about such things are
Yep.
really,
For sure.
really existential. How do you navigate?
So I would never use it in a meeting where I didn't announce that I was going to capture, right? So in those staff meetings that we had, I would say, everything that you're saying here, I'm capturing.
Yeah, but I'm sure that people have been nervous about it.
Oh, sure.
anyways, 'cause
Yeah.
they can still say,
Yeah.
so make them a mistake.
Yeah, and it's not a video, so I'm not and
I
it's
was
not a
wondering if
recording.
There were some protocols that you have in place
Sure.
to assure leaders.
It is a weird gray area because it's not an audio recording. Like there's no storage on that device. Like it's just a transcription based. The API is completely developer based, so you can just pull it as often as you want, and it'll pull it in. I love it for coaching myself of how I talk, and whether I say too many ums or
I think it's fascinating. I was just wondering how you
Yeah.
communicate this with
yeah.
leadership.
Then the data
Yep.
stays within your Microsoft tenant, which is set
Right.
up to be FERPA compliant, right?
Well, so every meeting that I have automatically have set to record, no matter even if it's a face-to-face. Our district leadership team meetings, we have in a space that has a Logi bar in it, right? So even if we're face-to-face, I still record the Teams meeting because that auto-generates the notes for the meeting for our
Curious,
staff.
Do you pull up the B during hallway conversations?
Oh, no. I mainly use the B to like capture something that I need to capture that there's not an online recording of.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were making teachers walk around and like.
Oh, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I was imagining like a little bracelet, like
Oh.
just walk around and talk.
Yeah.
That would be a problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Think about if you were doing knowledge transfer of someone who's leading a business and you had them walking around all day with something like the B, getting their culture documented.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
the hardest thing in the world.
this morning, where I used the B this morning, I had a meeting with the Deputy Commissioner of Education because KSDE was at a meeting down here. And so as a part of my biker school, I was like, he's like, what challenges do you have? And I'm like, well, seat time is a challenge because, school doesn't look like it used to look like 100 years ago. And I don't know why you're using seat time as still this model for education. So, like I captured those conversations, but I had the conversation with him that I was going to capture that.
That's great. Thank you.
So.